Hello, hello. Welcome, people. I hope you can hear me, because otherwise it's going to be real scuffed. Welcome to the second episode ever of Breaking Character. Such a muted. Okay, I'm going to stop looking at the chat. Okay, so yeah, welcome to the second episode, dude. Today, I'm going to be joined by the amazing Nakkida and CurvyElephant, which I will introduce you to shortly. If you don't already know who they are, you should. For those of you who are new here, Breaking Characters is a new podcast which I've started, which will delve into the minds of these awesome NoPixel role players, where I'll sit down in Discord and have a chat with them, ask community questions from you guys on Reddit, and my own questions, because I am also very interested. As I've said before, this is probably more for me than it is for you, but figured I'd stream at the same time. Again, so many thank yous to get out, but I'm going to make the intro a little bit more quick today so that we can get to all the questions, because there was a lot of questions, dude. There was like 100 and something questions, which I had to trim down to less than 30. So thank you to everybody who submitted questions, because I really appreciate it. There were some really good ones, which I can't ask, but we'll see if we can get to them. Who knows, maybe we'll even get time to do some chat questions. I don't know how fast things are going to go, because everyone's different. But we'll get to it shortly. Yeah, thank yous, real quick. Everybody who asked questions. The Reddit mods who let me post every week. Discord mods, thank you to Mental, to Garuda, to Devil's Rival. Garuda for the art, because so much work was done by them this week. I hardly had to do anything apart from do all the Photoshop stuff. Never mind. Daddy Los Santos, again, to Discord if you want to go join for recaps and that kind of thing. NoPixel Wiki, if you want to go catch up with stuff there too, go look it up. It's awesome. The Art Gang, again, have blown me away for another week in a row with 120 odd pieces of art, which is 90% sugar, but we don't talk about that. But again, just thank you for everyone for all that kind of stuff, because it's really, really appreciated. You guys are awesome. Just keep it up, because I love showing it off. So thank you very much. Black Rezaru for the intro. Again, awesome. NoPixel Zone plays Mac on Not on the server. Made that intro in like a day. So thank you very much. And LP, Reggie Pascal. I don't think she can be here tonight, but she's awesome. She made all of these overlays. She's crazy. And I forgot to do this last week, but spoilers. All right, there's gonna be spoilers. So be careful, because yeah, spoilers happen. If you haven't caught up with either Curvy's characters or Nakkida's characters and you don't know what's happening, there is going to be spoilers. All right. Okay. So yeah, our second ever guests are Curvy and Nakkida. So I'm gonna go and mute them, and you guys can say hello, and we'll get straight to the questions, because let's not waste any more time. And one thing before I go, all the info and everything you need will be up on breakcharacter.com. All the new episodes up on YouTube, the VOD, the Spotify, everything you need will be up in there. All right? Okay, let's go on mute and say hello. Let's go. Oh god, how do I mute? Hello.
Hello.
Okay, you can hear me.
Hello.
Thank God. All right,
Yes,
beautiful.
we can.
Well, hello. Thank you for coming on. Well, if you guys want to, for those of you who don't already know, just introduce yourselves, who you play, what you do, and all that kind of stuff. Covey, you go first.
All right. So I am CurvyElephant on Twitch. I play 3 characters. Matt Rhodes, who is my original character, followed by Kevin Shaw and Ryan Parker. Been role playing on NoPixel for, say, almost 2.5 years at this point. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Nakkida.
Well, I'm Nakkida on Twitch, and my intro is pretty similar to that. I play 3 characters, mainly Tessa Lamb, Penelope Moore, and Rachel Parker, who is Ryan's sister. She's dead, by the way. Also, I have been on NoPixel for about 2 years. And that's my intro.
Hell yeah. Two old schoolers, I like it. But yeah, there's a lot of questions coming, and I hope you got your thinking out on, because some of these are pretty cool. But again, thank you to all the art people. I'm gonna put them up on screen, and hopefully everything works. It does. Okay, awesome.
Can I quickly say something?
Go for it.
So I've made it very clear on stream that I have not looked at any of the questions because I don't want my answers to be rehearsed. So I am afraid because I don't know what's going to be asked.
Don't be afraid. Just panic a little when I ask, and then you begin. There's no wrong answers, okay? They are your characters at the end of the day. So, I mean, first up, Curvy, is a question from Thornex, who asks you, how do you feel about the way Matt is progressing as a cop? Does he appreciate being pushed to do more by others because they truly believe he can do it?
In terms of progression, I mean, definitely, I feel that I'm doing okay. Honestly, though, the thing that sucks is I don't want to do. This is gonna come out the wrong way. I don't want to do too much because I don't know. I have other characters to play, and I feel like if I take on too much responsibility, it might interfere with other things I plan on doing. So more recently, there was a situation where Andrews asked that I take on Toretti, which is Jerry Callow's cop character.
Yeah.
And sort of questioned if I wanted to become an FTO. And I always went into PD thinking, like, I really don't want to take on the additional responsibilities, but, like, I really did consider it. Like, I really, really considered it. But in terms of progression, I do think that Matt is progressing fairly well in terms of becoming a cop. And in terms of, again, appreciating the whole, being pushed to do more. Yeah, I totally appreciate it. But I feel like that there's eventually going to come a point where, again, I'm going to have to stop myself so that I can allow there to be time for other characters.
No, yeah, I completely agree. I think being promoted and stuff in PD comes with a hell of a lot of out-of-character stuff to do with it. So I really don't blame you if you want to like focus on other characters. It kind of it pushes you to make it one of your main characters even more. So props to everyone who does that kind of stuff, especially like the higher ups who have to do all that out-of-character thing. It's like it's a lot. So I think Matt, I think you'd be really good. I think you'd be a really good FTO, but obviously, you've got to
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You gotta take your time with it, especially if you want to play the characters. Because Ryan is the best character on. Just throwing that out there. Especially with the fashion advice today that I saw. Okay, we'll quickly hop into the next one then. Names are hard. Sanguine Ghost, I think. Asks you, Nakkida. In the past, Tessa has wanted to talk about her mysterious blackouts to therapists and Matt, but hasn't made much progress in doing so. Do you still want to bring it up, or do other things take priority?
Well, she might still be willing to bring it up, but I think that a lot of the stuff that's gone on in the last few months has kind of led her down a different path, mainly talking to Norman. He has put a lot of doubts in her mind about the people around her and made it harder for her to feel like she can ask for help and talk to people, and I think that's going to lead to some interesting stuff for her down the line.
Sure. Like, and there was a question that was about to come up, but you mentioned Norman now, so I might as well ask. Was there ever a point, I'll try and find who it was from, was there ever a point where Tessa or Mary considered killing Norman?
Yes, absolutely. At the start, before he really found anything out about her, she and him were out at the lighthouse, and he had mentioned how she was being very quiet and secretive about where she was when she was talking to people on the phone. And he brought up the fact that she hadn't said who she was with or where she was going, and he kind of thought that was because she wasn't afraid of him. But she had her own reasons for doing that. She wanted to make sure no one knew where she was or who she was with, because if I needed to do anything, I would have had the opportunity.
Getting the insights. So do you think, at this point, do you think Tessa trusts Norman more than Matt?
Tessa doesn't.
Oh, Tessa doesn't. That's okay. All right, that's scary, dude. Scary combination of people to put together. But that's a very good answer. I'm glad we actually got an answer to that. All right. Thank you. Next question is from So Happy. Both of you. How did Matt and Tessa meet in game, and how long was it before you two became attached at the hip?
Honestly,
probably at Legion Square.
That was the spot.
Yeah, so way back when, kind of like how like the hospital / garage Q / the pink cages right now. Before, like, there were admin messages almost daily telling people to avoid the square because it was sort of just an area where everyone went to meet each other and talk to each other. So probably Legion Square. I don't know that I could give you specifics though. And how long was it before we became attached at the hip?
Yeah.
Not very long, if I recall correctly, because Matt was a civ just like Tessa.
I think I could pinpoint it. Honestly, I think we were at the Legion Square garage, and we'd known each other for a while, but we'd never really hung out. And you were there, and I think I needed a ride somewhere. And Tessa got in your car and said, "Hey, we never really hang out." And I think the rest was history. And then the stuff with PDM started when Matt used to own PDM.
I remember that.
Matt owned PDM
on Old Pixel.
Yeah. Holy crap, dude.
So it was actually owned by someone else. And then it eventually ended up being sold off. But the way it worked was completely different.
Yeah.
Any business sort of just went up. Like you'd go to a certain spot, it would tell you how long sort of it was leased for, if you will, when it needed to renew. And if it wasn't paid at that time by the original owner, then it would just go for sale and anyone could buy it. So I ended up buying it one time while there was sort of a big event happening and everyone was preoccupied, thankfully, and ended up purchasing it.
Yeah, the businesses were different back then. Like I remember, I don't know whether you guys ever came up to the Polito stuff. You had to pay with cash, right? You had to bring cash with you to buy the building.
Yep.
That's why it was dangerous. Like people would like go to places that were about to be over and like camp because that's what Old NoPixel was like. To
give you some insight, when I bought PDM, PDM was very expensive. The purchasing spot was inside the office, so I think we had a car parked outside the door. We had a car parked and blocking the door on the inside, and I was like with two people inside prone behind the desk so that people couldn't just come in, and because people were more than willing to come in and gun you down over something like that.
Yeah, for sure. That's crazy, dude. Old Pixel was such a different era of role playing in comparison to now, but we're not too far off in the way this is going.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, I think you say that Tessa said you hadn't really hang out. Well, guess it's come a full circle again.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I had to talk from chat because that's all the chat says anyway. So I
know.
Okay, I apologize. Okay, next question is from Kiwo, actually, who asks both of you if you could play a character that wasn't held back by money, mechanics, or whatever. What sort of character would you play?
Oh my gosh, this is a hard one. I think I saw this question, and I remember thinking it was a good question, but I don't think I thought of an answer.
So I sort of have a two-part answer. The character that I would end up playing is, this is gonna sound stupid, Ryan Parker. But if I had to answer the question and avoid a character that I currently play, I would probably I'd probably pick sort of a gun dealer of sorts. But not as in like, oh hey, like I don't know. It's very difficult to keep things sort of on the down low in a server where prior we only had 32 slots. And information goes around real quick.
It does.
And now that we're on 64 or 80 or whatever it may be, like I feel like information is just I don't think people intentionally meta or ever have the intent to meta, but like it's always in the back of your mind that someone is doing something, you know exactly what they're doing, and so it's hard to keep those things hidden
For sure.
unless you do things off stream. So as much as I would love to do that, I don't know that I ever would, even if given the opportunity, because I wouldn't want that to be ruined.
No, yeah, I get. I think Medi might have played Nino off stream for like a few months before he started streaming it, to get everything set up. And I know like Connor has had problems with doing that kind of stuff. He didn't enjoy streaming because of the meta. But I don't think there's very few people on the server who actually meta a game on purpose. But it does get hard when you watch a clip or a stream or something. It's always going to be in the back of your mind. So it's about being conscious of that and just avoiding it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like oh sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry that we're wrapping up. I was going to say I actually have an answer.
Yeah, go for
I
it.
thought of what I was thinking. I think I would have a lot of fun playing a like super intense like stalker character. Like picking someone who would be down for it and legitimately stalking somebody. I love being creepy. I'm weird, I guess.
No,
but
it's perfect.
that would be a lot of fun, I think, with the goal of being 5115.
That'll be there's been a few, but I think there's a hell of a lot of people who would want that. I would want that. Stalk me, please. That sounds very strange, but you know what I mean. Like, I would happily be like I would volunteer for that kind of stuff. So if you ever okay. But I think when it comes to, I was gonna say something then, and it's that there has been stalker characters and things, and people that have like I know there was something going on with Bailey, the EMS. There was a stalker there, but I think there's a lot of things, whether on purpose or not, that storylines are dropping out the air like flies right now because they're being held up by a lot of people, and I think there's some really cool stuff out there, and I just hope that it can pick back up. And there's some stalker stuff in there too. So yeah, I'm definitely when I'm playing now, I'm gonna be keeping my eye out for that kind of stuff that people who want to do kind of some really cool and creepy shit. I want in.
Nice.
All right.
All right, next question is from Sanguine Ghost again. Curvy, were you thinking of turning Matt into a cop back when he gave Tessa most of his money, or was the decision more spontaneous?
Definitely spontaneous. If I remember correctly, Nakkida, I believe that was right after you had gotten partner, I think.
Yeah.
And the fact that Matt was shelved and there was no plan for Matt. The only reason I brought Matt back was because an opportunity presented itself with PD. If that hadn't happened, honestly, I'd probably still be playing either Shaw. Well, quite frankly, probably not Shaw at all. But so it was definitely a spontaneous thing. There was no intent at that time to ever become a cop.
Well, I think a lot of people are glad you did. But yeah, I think it kind of the way that they've changed PD things now, where you kind of have to do it in character and all that kind of stuff, where there isn't an academy. Both is a positive and negative, because the positive of the academy stuff was that it would be posted, it would be advertised to everybody. You know, if you want to be a cop, now's the time, and that like for you and for a lot of people is almost like a spark in roleplay. Like, oh, I haven't been enjoying roleplay as much. I want to do something different. Let's go be a cop now. Whereas the way it's on the download now is a bit, it's different. So I kind of hope they bring the academy back.
6 people. 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 6 people.
I need to play a character and kind of learn them for a little bit, and then come in and role play my way into PD. A bit like how Jordan Steele did, and a bit how like we did when only for a little bit. We did a lot of off-duty stuff together, like Force Down, Dark Roads, and that kind of thing. So there's pros and cons to both, but I'm interested. I'm surprised that was spontaneous. I thought you always thought that maybe you never thought that Matt would like in the future be a cop. Was that never?
So while I was maining Shaw, so after the whole hype had happened, the academy that Immortal got, I did consider. It was in the back of my mind. I wasn't considering it too heavily, but I sat there and I was like, maybe I'll apply. And I was going to give myself some time, but they closed apps super quick.
Right.
So the decision was sort of made up for me then. Because for most people who don't know, typically on NoPixel, unless there's an academy, you do not get in. There are very few exceptions, like single-digit numbers that I can ever remember in the span of close to 2.5 years, where I remember people getting into PD outside of an academy. But yeah, that's that.
All right. Next question from Gentle Strawberry, who asks Nakkida, what do you think would happen if Tessa found out she had murdered people?
Oh gosh. She probably would lose it, I think. I think that would be a 51-50 situation. But it would also mean that Mary allowed her to know. So something would have happened to Mary at that point.
Right.
So that sounds like maybe some kind of endgame situation. But yeah, she would lose her mind, I think.
Do you have an endgame plan for the whole Tessa and Mary thing?
I have a few. Just a few, like, different directions that it could go. I haven't really decided which one I want to, like, dedicate to, or, like, gun for. But I have thought about a couple different resolutions to the story.
Can you give us one? Just like, out there. Just a scoop.
Well...
You don't have
I mean,
to.
one would be
You don't have to. You don't have to give us spoilers if you want.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's keep it secret.
She's gonna take Matt down with her.
That would be.
Dun, dun, dun.
That question's coming up in a bit, so no spoilers. All right. Next question is for both of you from Away28, who says, "You two have been role playing together for a long time now. Looking back at the shared history of your multiple characters, which moments or storylines are the most memorable to you both?"
Ooh. In terms of memorable, like I feel like between Matt and Tessa, like before NoPixel, we were sort of just like professional victims. Like people would just roll up to the square, like hop in, and we'd sort of already know the drill. So we would just we were sort of willing participants.
The double
at that
hostage.
point. Yeah. So in terms of that, like that was sort of just like the normal thing to happen. But because it was so normal, like once NoPixel happened, when there was a situation with Matt, in the Hearth family, if you will, in the dark web,
Right.
When that all happened, and then Matt sort of taking like the protective role of like telling Tessa to lie to people, like that broke me, like both in and out of character. Like I felt so bad telling Tessa that like if she didn't lie, she could be putting her life at risk. And so it was one of those sort of, necessary evils to avoid a bad situation, if possible.
And now chat knows why Tessa is a pathological liar. Matt taught her this.
Well, I mean, going off of the Hearth thing, as a bit of a tangent, if that ever came back up and they like went to Matt How would he deal with that now, being a cop versus being a civilian?
So, I've already had to deal with Zelda,
Uh-oh.
who I didn't know, but the moment she told me her name and I looked her up and realized that they were related, that like I was immediately, put off guard, and just like shit, like because I didn't expect it to happen. It was a storyline that had happened, a year and like 3 months ago at this point or something.
Mhm.
And so, it's quite far back. And Simon's dead. Jacob's, around, but it never mattered how long ago something had happened. Every time I encountered Jacob, he would always do exactly what Simon did. He always does the shh
Yeah.
animation, putting the finger up to his mouth. And that
Uh-huh.
happened even while I was a civ, before becoming a cop, like right before becoming a cop. And so that storyline is, definitely still exists, but with a lack of those characters running into each other, it's just not progressing at this point. But if I encountered them, I'd try to distance myself, if possible. I don't think I'd want to poke the bear with a family that has previously stabbed me. And it wasn't just like an everyday stabbing like something would happen nowadays. It was role played out to sort of the fullest extent. And it was very story driven at the time. I feel like nowadays when someone gets stabbed, it's like, okay, you go to the hospital and that's that.
Yeah, that stabbing was like serious back then, because you would have gone to jail for a very long time for attacking someone like that.
It was I didn't see it or anything, but hearing about it, I really enjoyed the hearth interactions with everybody, and I really wanted to know. Once I heard about it, I was like, wait, what's Matt gonna do if that ever comes back? So yeah, that's a cool answer, dude. Wait, what was the did you answer this question from Away 28? I've lost my question, by the way. Here we go. About the most memorable storylines for both of you.
Well, actually, I was gonna say the Simon storyline was one of my favorites. But also when the recycling center was having so many problems, that was a lot of fun as well. With that, between the bikers and Saab and Denzel with Stroke Masters, that
Right.
was a ton of fun with that story.
That was actually, honestly, that sort of ties for me with the prior answer I just given, because that was a ton of fun, and those people were locked up for weeks, like IRL weeks, waiting for
Yeah.
Wait, really?
yeah. I think
Uh-huh.
it was like 21 or 22 days or something. It was in the 20, in terms of numbers. And then it was ruled that a speedy trial on NoPixel is essentially 14 from the filing of a case. And if it exceeds that, then you can essentially motion sort of just have everything thrown.
Damn.
Yep.
And now Denzel's going back in prison.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you for those answers, Steve. Next question is from FNS81, who asks, Covey, is Kevin Shaw ever going to make a return? The city needs our Google lawyer back.
Believe it or not, entirely unrelated. I was gonna jump on as a cop this morning and then realized that there were too many. So I was like, okay, I do intend on bringing Shaw back. I don't know exactly when. So I jumped on today as Shaw to sort of remake the character, which I found out was incredibly easy. It's literally the default Danny face with facial hair, a hairstyle, a suit. But yes, Shaw will make a return. Do I know exactly when? No. What I will say is it's not going to be dependent on anyone's return. A lot of people have sort of asked, if Moon comes back, will you do anything? The answer to that is if I bring Shaw back, it's going to be because I feel that DOJ is in a good place and that I'm going to be able to enjoy the role play, not because of anyone being like, hey, I need a lawyer. Tons of people have contacted me in regards to lawyer stuff, and as of right now, I'm still not taking anything.
Nice. Good. This was a prop feed. Got everyone off. All right, nice one. Next question from Geo the Flow asks Nakkida. So mental health is a theme of Tessa's roleplay. Is Tessa Lamb beyond redemption, or is there a road to recovery from a childhood trauma, PTSD, and international drug empire ways?
That's a good one. I actually am not sure whether or not there is redemption for her. She has reached a point where she's going to completely either break or end up in jail for what she's done. So I think it's always going to haunt her what she has done. Especially if she remembers everything that she's done, and all the things that she plans to do. So it's not out of the question that there could be redemption for her, but she will always suffer for the past.
Sad. Do you think Matt, if Matt wasn't such a would he help? Would he be, one of the keys for Tessa's redemption?
Could be.
That Kirby.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Okay, listen. People don't realize this, but I actually feel like such a scumbag because I know you're gonna tell me not to, but like people don't realize this. Tessa and I literally every single day hung out with each other for hours on end, like every single day. And then when the recycling center sort of got pulled for sort of reasons beyond our control, I didn't know what to do with it. And then he got shelved. I started playing Shaw, had an absolute blast with him. And I've genuinely always felt guilty that I shelved Matt because it's like the recycling center was pulled from me, which is why I stopped. But then I feel like I pulled the Matt storyline from Tessa, and I'm like incredibly guilty of sort of pulling that storyline, and I've always felt bad about that.
And I've always told you that it was a very good move, and it helped me grow as a role player, and it led me to the driving school because for so long Tessa didn't really have much of a story going on outside of Matt. So it helped her stop being Matt's Pokemon, but it's also helping my story. So thank you for that. And don't feel bad because it's all in RP.
I know.
I mean, everything that happens in roleplay goes OLC. Good answers.
I'm sorry. Tessa's she's gotta suffer. That's the character.
Someone in the chat said, Tessa Lamb, I choose you.
It's funny. Someone needs to make a Pokemon catcher on Tessa's gonna be one of them. Okay, next question. From Frogban, actually, from NoPixel. Both, what is your process for making a new character?
Ooh. So I'm gonna I guess I'll start. So when it came to Matt, I didn't know anything. It was my first time ever doing VoIP-based RP. I just made a character with a name and had nothing going into it. When I made Shaw, I was sort of on a deadline. I started making the character literally minutes before his scheduled loss. Thankfully, Steam servers were down at the time of the scheduled law school, so I had a little more time to create my character. And then I just went for it, and that's how the whole Kevin Law thing happened. So I didn't really have much going into that other than the fact when I played Matt, I was always like the very technical, as Nakkida, when she's playing Tessa, would call me pedantic person. I always, would Google stuff. Like I was the character that if California law stated that you only needed 2 rearview mirrors, one being on the driver's side and one on the windshield, if the opposite side rearview mirror was attached to the door, I'd take the door off because I still had 2. And if anyone argued, any cop would argue at all, I'd be like, well, I only legally am required to have 2. So that sort of pushed me in the direction of Shaw when I made that character, because then I could really go into detail when it came to law. But I didn't have anything going into it. And then when it came to Ryan, I think when it comes to Ryan, I didn't have sort of a backstory. What I will say is that I went into it knowing that I was going to put myself into situations with the intent to lose. Like every time I was just going to approach a situation, admit to things unintentional, or, in character unintentionally, but like out of character, totally intentional. Just to have fun with it. And honestly, I can probably say right now the most fun I have is when I'm playing Ryan Parker with like Mia or Rachel or Reed, and just doing stupid, silly things that never in a million years. Like the other day I went into a bench trial and my intent was going to be go in there, admit to everything, and then say, I wasn't read my rights, so I'm free to go. Like just really flawed mentalities. And honestly, I think that's why I have sort of the most fun with Ryan, is because I sort of go into a situation with the intent to lose. And if it doesn't work out that way and I end up sort of winning a situation, but if not, then no big deal. If you go into something with the intent to lose and you lose, guess what? You did exactly what you wanted to. You're not going to be disappointed.
You're a winner.
Exactly.
No, I think it's a really good attitude to have with any character, or just roleplay in general. But I think more people need to try something like that and see how fun it could be. I've definitely done that kind of thing in the past, and it's an eye opener for roleplay in general, especially if you've played characters that only try and win in any sense of the words. But what about you, Nakkida? What's your process when making a new character?
Well, for me, it's a lot about knowing my limits and what I am willing to do. I won't ever make a character that I feel is too far out of my comfort zone. That's why a lot of my characters are not RP characters. My chat jokes around and they say that Penny is not RP, and she really isn't. I like to play on my strengths, and that's the kind of characters that I play. So I pick a trait of mine and I kind of try and stick with it. So Penny's a huge dork. She loves My Little Pony and anime, and that kind of stuff sort of comes naturally for me. The Tessa stuff comes naturally.
And I hope not
Rachel...
the serial killer stuff, Nakkida.
Okay, that was a no comment.
Rachel is really awkward, and I think that's a lot of me in her. But yeah, I try to play at my own strengths and try not to try something that I know I'm not going to be able to do.
So I can sort of add on to that a bit. Nakkida and I both, while trying to make a new character, my concern is that I couldn't do voices. I've always told myself I couldn't do voices, and yeah, sure, I do the Ryan voice now, but like, listen, I was born and raised in Massachusetts, and everyone in my family drives a car, and I drive a car. I think it's just the result of me sort of being on the internet most of my life. And so there was one time Nakkida and I wanted to make new characters with accents.
Oh no.
So we went on Rivalry with the intent to try accents on new characters and not be so judged in case we failed terribly. And let's just say well, never ended up happening.
Yep.
Oh no.
We were too embarrassed to do it.
It was way too embarrassed.
What accents was it?
Let's not talk about
No,
it.
come on.
Mine was
I
going
would-
to be. I was going to attempt a Boston accent, and I can mimic people. Like if you say something in a Boston accent, I can say it back to you. But like, sort of off the cuff type, saying things, I feel like I wouldn't be able to naturally do it, and it would just seem way too rehearsed.
You should do an accent. 100%.
Absolutely, no,
Everybody, you can. Everybody can do accents. Or a voice. And I've said this to people in the chat before. We roleplay in an imaginary world, so every accent is imaginary at the same time. So no one can judge you on it. And that's my opinion about it. So yeah, someone put in chat, can we hear it? Please, can we have this
No, absolutely not. Listen, there's a reason why none of my characters have accents. Okay.
Yes.
And when I made Ryan, oh my god, I actually listened to a song today. Was it a song? I forget what it was, but I heard Ryan's original. Oh, the Akatako song. I heard Ryan's original voice and I started cringing. Like it was so bad. It was not good.
I disagree. I really liked his original voice.
It was like a worried Shaw.
That's okay.
Hey, you remember Napoleon's first voice?
Yeah.
You can't talk. Voice
That
is
was
developed.
abrasive.
And you look at like old Chang content as well, and his voice has developed a lot. But no one cares about voices. Like just have fun with them, and then they're not embarrassing. I promise. No one's gonna laugh at you. But do them, please. Okay. Well, talking of you two being close in roleplay, Chris C from RMB asks Curvy, who is Kevin Shaw's best friend?
Oh my god, that's a loaded question. Oh my god. Holy shit. Shit. Now, are we sort of operating under the assumption that you can only have one best?
Answer the question, Curvy, alright?
Honestly, I would say probably Copper. And put it this way, I went as far. There was one time she called me and I told her that she was under my phone as best friend. I literally then added best friend under my contacts. I went into Paint, I cropped out best friend, and I put it exactly where her number was. I sent her a screenshot.
The fuck?
Because what ended up happening was if you added someone's number, even though everything was in alphabetical order, it would add the last one at the very, very bottom until you relog.
Yeah.
So she would know if I just changed it. So I did that and I sent it to her. But honestly, I love every interaction I have with Herona.
Yeah, sure.
But obviously, it's a very sort of limited capacity. We would always talk to each other, strictly work-related stuff. Outside of that, it would probably... Honestly, I love doing things with Alabaster and sort of... Well, not just Alabaster, but Alabaster, Dab. Copper, I would say Dab is a close second just because he was... Honestly, he made me laugh every time I had to represent him. Like... They were just all super funny situations, and the whole like Dab saying something and I was like, no, that's my job, and then just repeat word for word exactly what he said. Like it was always so good. Sizz was also a really good one, and the way that I met Sizz was very strange. I believe we were working with 2 servers at the time. And I jumped into one to talk to Lise Gray, and I contacted her, and she was representing Sizz. And she wasn't struggling with the officer, but the officer wasn't willing to budge at all. And so I jumped in, and then, long story short, I bullshitted a bunch of stuff, and he ended up walking out the front door. And from there, he like called me about everything. He would contact me every single day just to see how I was doing. So in terms of best friends, I would say Copper, Dab, Alabaster, Sizz. In that order.
In that order? Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go, chat. Inside scoop. I miss Alabasta so much, dude.
Oh yeah, me
I want
too.
Slim to come back.
When I was playing Ryan and doing the Halloween thing as Alabaster, I had so much. Ah, bitch, you look a mess. I can't even keep it in.
I can't believe you said you couldn't do voices, and now you do Ryan.
I know, it's crazy.
Right, Slim's on right now. Thank you, chat. Thank you for the scoop. I appreciate it. Well, next question is again about Shaw. Sorry, Nakkida. But it's a good follow-up question. Wifster asks, was the emotion on Shaw of finding out about Dab more in character or out of character, or a bit of both? And what do you think would bring Rhodes to that level of emotion?
Ooh. Okay, so I'm gonna answer the second question first. Anything happening to Tessa would definitely, like, I know Matt sort of unintentionally ignores Tessa, but that would definitely break Matt. In terms of the first question, I would say both, both in character and out of character, and the reason for that was you sort of play, and honestly, this can sort of apply to any situation where you start playing a game, you befriend someone, you guys day in and day out are talking with each other, doing things, and then suddenly they're just gone. So when that happened, it was definitely a combination of both. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and lie and be like, no, I totally didn't shed a tear. No, I fucking bawled like a goddamn baby.
Yeah,
and I have no problems admitting to that. Like, the emotional RP that I had with Hall, like, that was genuine.
Oh my god,
like,
I remember that. Dude.
I broke. I absolutely broke. And sort of my go-to response is sort of just like, honestly, how I would respond to IRL. When it comes to emotions, I don't deal with emotions well. It's not that I don't deal with them, but I'd rather push them off to the side.
Yeah.
And my idea of sort of getting through a situation is like a late night drive listening to just really good music. Like, feels music though. And that's pretty much what I did on immersion bars, feels music, driving, complete silence.
Hell yeah. No, but I haven't been as in as much of an intense situation as that, but like, I know how it feels when you really get into it, especially with people you're friends with, and you're trying to do that role play. Like, I've done it in D&D as well. It's just like, it's a lot, and you realize, like, when you've been having these really deep interactions and really good interactions with people for so long, that it means more than just the characters together at the end of the day.
Yep.
I can say that about a lot of people. Like, even though we're just role playing with each other every day, it means a hell of a lot more than just these silly little stories we tell.
And I do want to clarify something really quick. Shaw was not trying to kill himself, okay? What ended up happening was the car ran out of gas, and when the car runs out of gas, it turns off. And when the car turns off, you can't steer.
Oh god.
So I continued in a straight line. I was in first person when it happened. It was not intentional at all. I did not try to rear end someone at like 100 miles an hour. I just couldn't steer away from. Oh, actually, when the car turns off, when it turns back on again, you can only sort of do anything with the car once it hits 20 miles an hour or below. That's the only time it'll turn back on.
Good to know. In case I ever need that.
I've turned my car off in the middle of a chase before. I don't know why. I'm a very like fidgety person. I like clicking things a lot. Sometimes I'll rest my finger on the scroll wheel, and if you scroll up, it turns your car off.
I'm actually doing that right click thing where you aim the gun in the car too.
Oh yeah, I do that all the time.
Okay, well, next question is from Bloodbite, a little artist, who asked Nakkida, what does Mary think about Matt not being around as much as he used to, and how she thinks that affects Tessa's sanity?
Well, Mary actually doesn't mind it all that much because it has given her a little bit more freedom to do what she feels is necessary. She really doesn't mind that Tessa is suffering. She's, in a way, she's kind of Tessa's protector, but also she genuinely does not care about Tessa's emotional state. So I guess the long story short, she really almost wants to thank him for it, because before she didn't have so much control over the body. And with Tessa's deteriorating mental state, I think she's been given a little bit more leeway, and the lines have started to blur a little bit.
That's scary, dude. Do you think Mary's ever going to get to the point where she's going to be in so much control that she can have a conversation with Matt?
I think she's already at that point.
I want to see it so bad, dude.
It just, there would have to be a reason for that conversation to come up, but she wouldn't make herself known to Matt.
No, yeah.
It would definitely be a darker kind of conversation.
There actually was a situation. I forget exactly when it was. Yes,
when
that's
she
exactly
was out. Yeah.
And I was like, Tessa, are you okay? And the thing is, like, Mary has there's a way that Tessa talks, and there's a way that Mary talks. And they are so different. You can tell immediately. Even just based on like simple responses and how quickly the response is given. Like, you can tell when it's Tessa versus Mary. But yeah, I do remember that.
I remember you calling back and doing the, is this the Krusty Krab? And she didn't answer correctly.
Yep. And that's exactly why I did that. But then something ended up happening afterwards that made it so that I either couldn't respond, or I can't remember if I was getting off. I forget exactly what the situation was. I do remember that.
Is that something Matt's remembered? Did he like take note of it, or was it just like blended into the ether?
Oh yeah, no, definitely took note. Like way back when, before NoPixel, I don't think Nakkida and I have ever really had a conversation as to whether or not it's something that Matt would know. Because when NoPixel happened, it was sort of like everyone had a clean slate. And if you want, you can definitely have a conversation with someone to be like, hey, you can remember X, Y, and Z, or these things never happened. We never had that conversation, so I didn't know how to take it at that point. I didn't know if it was like, okay, something's definitely wrong. But I'm more than willing to, start fresh, not know, and then sort of learn as I go.
I think that would be better, because that's how I've played it the whole time.
It's, I can't help but hope that Matt somehow starts finding out. See where that would go. I think there's a question about that in a bit, so get to it. But next question is from Control Burn, who asks, well, it's not really a question, it's more of a band, but I'm okay with it. Tell us something about the characters that we don't already know. So I guess he means your character.
Ooh. I don't know. I don't know. This is more of an out of character thing, so it's not really a character trait, but like, I always told myself that I would never do relationship RP. And so the fact that most of my characters are in relationships now blows my mind. So I don't know where to go with that. Oh, actually, okay. So this is sort of in the same line, but I have intentionally made every single one of my characters gay, specifically to lessen. It's gonna sound so lessen the chance of any relationship RP. And clearly that has not
It's not worked, has it?
Backfired a little
It's
bit.
not worked. Well, good to know. I'm glad there was a.
Let me tell you, same.
Wait, really? That's the same thing? The same reasoning?
Similar. So when I started role playing, it was I started role playing with my boyfriend. And so we would be in the same server at the same time, and we would have interactions and stuff. But we both kind of agreed that it was kind of awkward for either of us to role play having a relationship with another person. And like I had personally seen somebody take a role play relationship and push it to a super awkward level OOC, and I wanted desperately to avoid that happening. So I ended up, because Tessa was getting hit on so many times, I eventually was just like, okay, she's gonna be a lesbian, and all these people trying to ask her out, I can just say I'm a lesbian, and that would be the end of it, because usually people are more willing to back off after that. And it didn't really change anything, to be honest. But I stuck with it, and I enjoyed all the lesbian RP that I had with Nettie and Maria de la Rosa and Amara. So it's been fun, and I feel a lot better about relationship RP and like knowing what the boundaries are and things like that. But yeah, that was initially the plan behind making Tessa a lesbian, was just to have an out.
I just want to quickly say it worked for a very long time. For a very long time.
Sorry. No, but I genuinely think, and I think I think that question was going to come up about you, Curvy, so we might get to it anyway. But for story wise, it's not necessary, but it can add a lot with the relationship roleplay. It goes for the same as like having siblings as well, and having like actual family members adds a hell of a lot, I think, and makes those relationships like really, really cool, especially when things happen. Especially NoPixel, when people get kidnapped and people get hurt all the time. I think really adds a lot. So I'm glad that a lot more people are being comfortable with it, and it's not that awkward anymore because it's happened so much. But obviously, it's never a necessity. But I'm glad you both had the same answer to that question.
I think the culture has changed over time with like relationships, especially since the boom of RP. Because before, I don't recall there being so many like ships and people actually doing like dates and things like that.
True, yeah.
It was actually almost like I don't want to say frowned upon or like taboo, but people didn't do it as much.
That's very true.
It is. I think it's. I don't even know the reason behind it. It's just I remember on the old NoPixel there was very, very few that actually happened.
I think my biggest, and it's not really an issue with it, but like the mental block for me, not the biggest fan of PDA. And so when it comes to RP, like even if you are not in public, it's still sort of PDA. And so that's always been the mental block for me. And obviously not everyone's the same, but I don't know. I remember a very specific thing happening, and it really threw me off in RP. It Nakkida was there.
I was, yeah, that
I
was
know
on Rivalry, wasn't
yes,
it?
it was.
Do tell.
No,
Is it bad?
No, it's just again
They were just
relation-
doing slash me's that were uncomfortably like detailed. It was just awkward, and like it was right in front of us, and I don't know, it was odd.
Yeah,
I
it
remember.
was very.
I don't know whether you guys remember on old NoPixel. I think Wolfie once did an OOC instead of a slash me of like pulling his pants down, and everyone saw it, dude. And I might have just brought that up as a memory for a bunch of people. But if someone can find the screenshot, please send it to me because it will be my wallpaper.
Sam's did that literally the other day to me.
Wait, really?
I pulled him over and he did like slash me, pulls pants down. And honestly, I have so much respect for Sam's.
He's so good.
And his ability to play Dimitri. Like, I love Dimitri as a character. The stupid, silly stuff that he says all the time and how genuine he sounds with everything is just amazing. He literally had his pants down. I don't even know if I should talk about it. But like, I'm then trying to have a conversation with him like, Dimitri, why are your pants down? But like slash me's operate differently now. They show up in front of you if you're not around you. But in this situation, like if you think back to how it used to operate before, all it takes is for you to not put a slash before, and then the entire server saw what you did, and it's incredibly embarrassing.
Or if you were sessioned and your slash me showed up on everyone. That happened to me once. I was having a serious Mary moment, and then Mary started making bacon. Literally, I think it was
someone else got session.
I think it was Z cooking like a breakfast or something for somebody, and she was session, and I just
It's good.
The timing was terrible. I was gonna have a moment, and it was gonna be great, and then it looked like I slash me that I was cooking bacon.
Nice, dude. You know, Mary's a bacon fan now.
Can I ask a question? Is that something that Mary would do?
Bacon.
No.
So Mary's not even willing. It makes sense. Yeah, interesting.
Especially not on the top of the hospital roof.
I remember that. That made it on Reddit, I'm pretty sure.
Good question, though. And I honestly, there's some things in old NoPixel I miss, but the next question is from Wifster again, dude. Wifster with all the good questions today. To all of us, apparently. What's the story behind El Teso as it relates to Rhodes, Stark, and Tessa? As in the dynamic between the characters that El Teso brings. God, who wants to start? Go on, Kirby.
Sure, I can. So obviously the whole thing with Dark and Matt happened, right? And then Matt was informed, I don't remember if it was through Valentine or someone, that this whole thing with Kiki was happening. And it was a little difficult for me because I had played Shaw, who Kiki continuously, stole vehicles from. And so I sort of had to make that separation at first. But as soon as someone started saying things like, Tessa is dealing drugs and she's going to have a bunch of drugs in her vehicle, I'm thinking to myself, like, listen, we all know Kiki, okay? Like, this is obviously easily identified as something that Kiki would do. There's no way that Tessa would be selling drugs. And so obviously, as sort of, I'm not going to say an overprotective friend, but like as someone who has known Tessa for a very long time, Matt knows that that's not something that Tessa is willing to do. Now, in saying that, Dark and Matt had only been together for a very small, I'm not going to say very small period of time, but not a very long time. And then for Dark to sort of imply that, my stance on this whole situation is biased because we're friends and I should not be involved. Obviously that all happened. And then Matt feeling uncomfortable with the fact that if things progressed, like how do you progress a relationship where you end up investigating your partner's best friend?
Right.
Like, and then like a lot of drama started as a result of that. And there were arguments, there were fights. Being told that Dark is looking through binoculars across streets and staring at El Tesso and sniffing her for drugs in a courtroom. Like, what the hell?
It was a prompt that I ran with that Milton gave us, and I'm so glad it's gone where it has, because it was just like one of those things that we don't get very often.
I appreciate Milton so much.
Scott, me too, dude. Like, he gave us.
He's still doing it too. There's stuff coming down the pipeline, I think.
Oh, God.
Get ready.
I'm ready. I'm always ready for shenanigans. But it was something so silly and so obvious that it wasn't Tessa that I felt someone needed to try and play devil's advocate very seriously and roll with it and see where it went. And it created some really good drama with Matt. And like I said to my chat the other day, that conversation, a tiny little conversation that me and Tessa had outside like Legion Square Garage, like, was so tense because of everything that happened. It's like I miss that kind of stuff, and it, like, I think has it developed Tessa in any way? I figured it would. How's Tessa changed since being named El Tesso?
She is extremely paranoid. Like, she is on the level of Matt Rhodes at the moment. She checks her trunk and her glove box every time she gets in the car, anytime the car is out of her sight. She's very, very cautious. Although I've always kind of been cautious when playing Tessa with all my decision making and things that I do. So I let her kind of fall into traps. But I've kind of been not letting her do that so many times lately, just to be cautious. Because now she knows that someone's trying to frame her and put her in these situations. Although she still sometimes falls for him because she's gullible. That's just a part of her nature.
I don't actually know this 100%. So I want to ask this both for my meta and chat's meta. Is Dark on Tessa's list now?
Take him away.
Oh,
Chop
God.
him up.
Oh, God, that laugh is a yes. That's a yes, dude.
That's a 100%.
You don't have to tell me anything more. I love it, dude. I'm not going to say anything more because I love getting into stuff like this, and it's went to a perfect place. That now you've said Milton's coming with more. I hope I can actually get back on duty and do some stuff to be around when that happens. But I just want more out there, so I just want more. There's not many things that have interested me as of the past few months apart from that storyline, and even doing stuff at OOC with just being weird and making a board with shit.
That was great when that came out. I cracked up.
I don't know if I haven't spoke to McLean to see if he's done anything about it, but we'll see. Maybe
I think Pred has been doing a lot of
oh, really?
Watching of Tessa.
It's spreading.
Not really, but he makes sure she knows that he's watching her every time he talks to her. So
I think that's great. Good. I feel like that'll create a very interesting dynamic because, as I'm sure a lot of people have seen yesterday, I think it was yesterday, where I sort of caused a bunch of drama between Angel and Pred.
Oh my God, yes.
So we roll up. I'm sorry to go on a tangent here, but it was great. We roll up on a convenience store robbery, and we see Patty, just in his boxers with heart makeup on his cheeks, and he's dancing behind the front counter. And it's me and McLean. We roll in, not even like with guns or anything. We just walk in. We're like, what the hell is going on? And then, we get the other alarm, which indicates someone's robbing the back. And then Kat comes out the back, and she's dressed sort of as a stripper, if you will. So Pred's not there yet. It's just me and McLean. And I was like, okay, you guys are going to position. You guys are going to hide in the back. we're going to get Pred in this position. When we say something about a party, you're going to come out, start dancing. And then McLean was like, well, how are you going to let Angel know? And I was like, I'm just going to call her and say, quick, look at security camera 17. So what I did not expect and what I could not see was I hid in the back behind a sort of a shelf, and I called Angel. I was whispering. I was like, quick, security camera 17.
Such a piece
And
of shit.
coincidentally, I saw the clip afterwards. As she looks at the camera, the animation he was doing was just so perfect. Like everything was so perfectly timed. It was amazing. And I don't know if a lot of people saw at the very end of that clip of the camera footage, I jumped out of the back. I literally jumped out of the back from where I was hiding.
Oh my god.
It was so good. The HR meeting stuff afterwards, everything 10 out of 10. I feel like Killer Beauty, who plays Kat alongside Koi Pish, is heavily underrated. Her ability to sort of just keep going with it. I gave her very few basic instructions. I pretty much said, try to make it as dirty as possible without going overboard. Say he called you a spicy jalapeno or whatever, because that's what the chips he was referring to. And every time I questioned her on the phone, because I had her on speaker in the office while we had the HR meeting, she would refer to, whatever. And every time I asked her a question, she knew exactly how to answer it. Like exactly how to answer it. Like, Pred was like, oh, well, does she have my phone number? She was like, let me check. No, I actually received calls from a payphone. Like it just made the situation worse and worse and worse for him. And it was so good. I live for situations like that.
Because you're evil.
It's so good.
I mean, as a tangent, just because we do have so much banter in PD. Nakkida, have you ever thought of making a cop character? Is that something you plan to do in the future?
Oh my god. Have you seen my criminal characters? Do you think I can do a cop?
Yes, I think you can.
No.
I think everyone could do a cop. Look at Pred, alright? That's all I'm saying. You could, I think
I
you
don't
should.
know. I don't think I have thick enough skin, honestly. I don't think put under that much pressure I could handle it.
No, that's
genuinely.
fair. That's fair enough. It is. It can. There's a lot of politics that come with it, but I think everyone should definitely try it at some point, and hopefully it gets into a position where it's a bit more lax than it is right now. Because I definitely want to see some people, including you, to come and try it. Like I'd love to see Milton do a cop character and where he'd go with that. I think it'd be hilarious. I just think they should really do something where they just hire people and then fire people and just have some like really bad recruits that can just cycle through and see how it goes. And because there'd be a lot of really funny characters that go through.
I think the only issue with that and the only issue really would be sort of the time spent on training those characters.
Right, yeah.
I feel like that's the only concern, really.
No, yeah, I agree. But I guess in general, I just really want to see some more people play cop and see what they can do with it. I just want people to make more characters, honestly, because whenever I see an experienced role player making a new character, it's like, just, where have they been this whole time? You know what I mean? Like Kyle went from Wyatt Derp to Alabaster Slim, and that was just like, where's he been keeping this? You know what I mean? And then the Brett Biggledikes and everything.
So with the change, like I've known Kyle for quite some time. And when the server, when NoPixel happened and he was playing Wyatt, like I feel like he didn't exactly know where to put Wyatt in such a serious, because when like a lot of people, especially for those who only started watching after the boom, they don't realize that, like, again, the people who tried kidnapping Rhodes and killing him were held until trial for 20 plus days, like IRL days, just waiting for the trial, not even including any sentencing. The severity of sort of punishments were super high, like they were super severe. And so when you have a character that's based around, I'm not going to say trolling people, but like causing problems, it's very difficult to sort of facilitate that. And have fun with a character like that. And then I feel like he sort of refreshed himself with Rory. I feel like and I'm sorry for swearing, but I feel like he nailed. I 100% like appreciate Kyle playing Rory so much. Rory was such a good character, and I feel like that came out of left field. Like I never expected Kyle to do a lawyer character, and he nailed it. And then when DOJRP sort of started to die down and he did Alabaster, nailed it. Like I'm just so impressed with so many people's ability to play different characters and just be so good at it.
Just like I never expected Penelope Moore to come from Tessa. That was.
Still hasn't been to jail, by the way.
I love that voice so much, dude. But yeah, I really implore people to just try new characters. I mean, Das Medi showed off the power of new characters last night. I don't know whether you guys saw, but he made this perma character. I can't even remember. I think there might have been a detective or something, like a private eye. That's what they looked like anyway when I tuned in. And that one character getting kidnapped just caused so much roleplay. And it just really goes to show that, new characters can be not only a bunch of fun, but they can cause ripple effects everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you good?
No, I was good.
Oh, okay. So I was the person who, again, played Matt for I think a year and 6 months before ever considering a second character.
Right.
I was like deathly afraid of making another character, primarily because of the voice. Like I didn't want two characters to have the same voice. But once I, sort of just decided, well, I'm not going to be playing Matt, so it's not going to be that much of a big deal. And I started playing Shaw. Like, honestly, I had so much fun playing a second character, and now with Ryan, a third character, that like, even if you are like, I'm saying this to anyone who's interested in RP, like, just try it. Like, 100%. Sure, I look back and I listen to Ryan's original voice, and I might cringe, but like, I wouldn't be here today having so much fun with all these characters if I didn't start there.
Yeah,
like,
if you didn't try it.
Exactly. You need to start it.
Take the leap.
Yeah, 100%. And again, I never took creating new characters like it never popped into my mind. Like, think about it. Nakkida and I went on Rivalry to test out accents on characters, and we couldn't even do it. Like, just to see if we could deal with it. But again, honestly, I have so much fun on the other characters that I made, and I do not regret it at all.
100%. 100%. Anyone listening who role plays, just make new characters and see where it goes. You'll have a lot of fun with it. Yeah, good, very good. I don't know what tangent we just went on, but I love it. Next question. No, it's good. Don't apologize. That's what we're here for. So CG for Nakkida, in the previous episode of this podcast, plug, Coming said that the end game of a serial killer is to get caught. Does this logic apply to Tessa and Mary as well?
Yes, 100%. So I haven't really gotten into much of the being detected side of things. We've flown under the radar so far, and I wanted to kind of get some things done before I started leaving my little trail of breadcrumbs.
Mm-hmm.
So that is eventually one of my end game goals, is to have her be caught. I don't want to just hide forever. I'm not sure how I want to go about doing it yet, but I do have plans, and they are coming. But yeah, down the line, of course, that is the ultimate goal of serial killer RP, is to mess with the people that you've attacked and leave that little trail of breadcrumbs.
Right. I just want Matt. I want Matt to be the one who figures it out. I really do. But we don't script things. Only in private. But yeah, I really think that anyone who plays a serial killer, it gives a lot of roleplay to a lot of people, and it's really hard to do. I haven't done it yet, so it seems from an outside perspective very difficult to do. And everybody you all do it so differently, and I don't know how you all manage it, but props to everybody who does that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm excited to see where the whole Mary thing goes, and what kind of breakdowns you give. Covey, you ever considered a serial killer character?
No, I haven't. Primarily for time reasons. If I played a serial killer, I would want it to be as detailed as a story, like Tessa's, where, I mean, let's not fool ourselves, chat. Like, we can have video footage of Mary killing a person. If Tessa shows up in court and says, "I didn't do it," in her normal voice, ain't no one gonna believe that Tessa did it. So I want there, yeah, exactly. So I want there to be like, sort of a shock factor, and you can't really do that with an unestablished character, in my opinion.
Yeah,
you have to be well established, and that takes a lot of time. So I don't know that I would ever do one just based on that, but I love the idea. Like, I feel like prior to NoPixel, one of the best storylines ever was Norman Bones.
For sure.
And by the way, people don't realize this, Matt Rhodes almost got away from Norman.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was the only one, and the only reason police didn't respond was because there was an active jailbreak at the time. He ended up having to shoot his gun to get me, and there was never a response because of the active
Norman actually has oh well, I'm not gonna actually tell you guys what he has, but
He's but no, I remember watching. I remember being there and watching that whole the end of Norman Bones. Was
so good. Oh my god!
In the fucking prison and everything. Like, holy shit!
The detailed notes, the oh my god! Everything was. I literally have
the
goosebumps.
Notes. Yeah, I just thought about it. I just remembered everything. Oh my god!
Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen that, chat, there's probably something on YouTube somewhere. Go watch it, please.
That's something I've thought about thoroughly about Mary interacting with Norman, is the notes. Potential for things to come out if he were to get caught. If he's been doing the things that he did before, yeah, we'll see.
So much stuff hidden. I just want to discover it all, and this is why I've got this podcast. Just for me. I just want to find out all the juicy details. Oh my god, yeah, the ending of Norman in the prison and everything, and that was one of the biggest storylines on old NoPixel. There was the Chow. I don't know whether you guys remember the whole the Chow stuff. Very similar. He got the death penalty kind of thing.
Yep, that was with Pistol Pete as well, right?
Yeah. I talked to Airborne a lot about that when I was helping with the trailer I did. And, he discussed that, like, Pistol Pete was, like, his first character, and Chow was, like, one of the first people he hung about with. So he really got that kind of guide, which I think is really important for a lot of new players, which is missing right now. He got in with someone straight away that knew what to do, knew where to go, and gave him a really cool story. And, yeah, that was really cool. And I don't know whether anybody remembers, another serial killer was on Family RP. Do you guys ever watch Family RP or SOE? Richard Oakes by Classy Packs.
Mm-hmm.
Holy fuck, dude! That whole we're just like boomers rambling right now, but
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it too. Again, another serial killer. If you guys don't watch it, haven't seen it, or don't know about it, go look it up. It was an incredible story because I used to watch SOE a lot back in the day because I couldn't get on really. But yeah.
Ziggy has said that Richard Oakes was what inspired him partially for Norman's storyline. So Classy did a really, really good job of portraying that character and telling his story. But yeah, I actually never followed that story. I've only seen a couple of things about it, but from what I've seen, it was a really, really cool storyline.
Yeah, there's been so many though, and
I appreciate. Oh, sorry.
no, go.
I appreciate Classy so much. Like,
Right.
I didn't follow much of the like. I did watch FamRP before I started role playing. That's sort of what inspired me to do VoIP based RP. But like when he plays Dr. Ma and stuff, he kills. Like,
He's so
I went in there
funny.
as Shaw. He diagnosed me with it was two things. Oh, okay. Number one was I think he first diagnosed me with cock shock or something.
Cock shot.
Yeah, hold on. But then when I came back because I got injured by something else, I came back and he diagnosed me with syphilis.
Oh my god.
It was so good.
He is something. He's on another level, dude. Some really good old school role players that I miss, and he's one of them. I love when he comes around. It's like a treat. Early Christmas present whenever he's around, and yeah, he's really good. But we'll get on to the next one from Bloodbite again, who asked Curvy, which I chose this question. How much did the war between Cop Killer Records and the Lost mess with Ryan's mind?
That's a loaded question. I would definitely say it so, I'm trying to think because prior to the war, I don't think Ryan ever shot a gun. And like not just not shot a gun, but like not even carried a gun, even though he had a weapons license type situation.
Right.
And so I feel like now, given that it happened, like Ryan is far more willing to carry a gun. And when he sees other people do things, he sort of it's not that he considers it like a necessary evil, but he'll turn a blind eye. Whereas prior to the war, he would sort of scream at people and say he's not getting involved if anyone gets hurt type situation. Now it's again more of a necessary evil to where, you know, sometimes if we need a car and Reed's there and he shoots someone, Ryan will mention stuff like, you really shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Or whereas before it'd be like, if you do that again, that's it, I'm done. Type deal. So the war has definitely changed Ryan without a doubt. Without a doubt. And I'm very glad, very, very glad that war happened. It was some of the best role play I have ever had on NoPixel. All over some really petty stuff in the grand scheme of things, and it was amazing.
It really was. Like I remember in character when talking to Reed and stuff, and him mentioning that Ryan had never used a gun before, and I was very new to like you and Ryan in general, but even still, when I saw Ryan with a gun, I was like, oh shit, things are happening. I think when was the first time that Ryan picked up a gun? Was that with the Summer stuff? When Summer was?
No, so it was prior to. I forget exactly what had happened, but I had a class 2. Reed gave me one. He told me to like hold on to it. I had it forever. I pretty much went to my apartment after finding out that someone had gotten ICU'd, I believe. As soon as that happened, I grabbed I think it was a Tech 9. I went down to Innocence, where Eugene's store was. I looked for him.
Oh, yeah.
When he wasn't there, I shot it up and I left.
That was when Mason died. That was the first
yeah, that's what it was. And so I can't remember if I did that first or if I showed up and kidnapped Eugene with the gun in hand but didn't shoot. And I literally did it in front of everyone with no mask because Ryan just did not care. But it was either that or again the shooting after, because there was a second situation where I showed up, no one was there, and I just shot it up.
Yeah, I remember watching, because I think I went into ICU and I tuned into your stream and I watched you. Yeah, you were in a Banshee or something, and that's when you kidnapped Eugene with like an Uzi or something. I can't remember what exactly. I remember like
and Mia was with me.
Mia was there. Yeah, shit, dudes.
We sat there right in front of the store. There's a parking area sort of right down the street, not very far. It's still across from the car wash, and I was talking with Mia the whole time, and she was like, "Whatever you do, I'm with you." And I literally got hit in the feels. Yeah.
There was so many fails during that whole thing, and Rachel was there too, right, Nakkida?
Yeah, for a short time. I got kind of anxious about the 4-person role, so I had to really distance myself, and so I kind of just backed out of it. But yeah, Rachel was there for most of it. She hung out with Mia, and actually Rachel was the reason Summer got taken. Because I think they thought that I was in the car with them. They thought that I was Summer. So that was the reason why Summer got taken, and they thought that she was betraying people, and but yeah, I had to kind of distance myself, unfortunately, because I felt awkward at that point because I didn't really know too many people, and I was just kind of sitting around at the lost compound, and I didn't know what to do.
That's fair enough.
So Mia and I spent some time driving around, and eventually I just was like, okay, I'll back out for now, and we'll bring Rachel back later. And we did, and then she did some things with Brett, and
that turn of events, though, where they had Summer like still played a heavy role because Mia being Ryan's best friend, like even if they're not on good terms, being like Ryan being told pretty much, hey, you're responsible and we're only going to let her go if you give yourself up to us, like that played heavily on Ryan. And so like the fact that happened was so good. It was so good. And I think I could be wrong in saying this, but I think that that's one of the first wars that happened in character with the least amount, if not any, salt whatsoever.
I don't think there was.
As the person who took Eugene's tuner chip, I honestly think the worst that happened was people coming into my chat saying something along the lines of, can you give Eugene his tuner chip back? You can't get them anymore. That was it. There was no hatred. Like it wasn't salt. It was just like people who obviously they watch Vader and they want him to have his tuner chip, but that was it. There was no, you're a shitty character. There was nothing like throughout that entire war. And I'm incredibly thankful for that. It's honestly why I made it one of the best situations that I've sort of ever been a part of.
Same. There's nothing's really touched on it for me yet. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, you mentioned the stuff with it kind of forcing Ryan to be more okay with using guns and stuff. But okay, this is a question that was on Reddit, but I'm gonna ask it. Where does Ryan keep the map that Reggie gave him? If you even know the answer, I don't expect you to know the answer at all.
So I haven't placed it anywhere, and the only reason for that, there's actually a piece of artwork that was done where the map is hung up, if I recall correctly. I'm gonna need to find that, but wherever that is, it's pretty much gonna be placed in that location. I think it's probably in I don't have an exact answer, but I want to find that piece of art and I want to put it exactly where it is. Chat, please tell me it was Grace's art. Okay, put it this way: it might not be anywhere in RP right now, but it will be, because that's very story driven stuff that I appreciate. But because I've sort of been maining Matt recently, it wasn't something that like really took priority, unfortunately.
I'll be honest, that whole Will and stuff, the scene
You broke
in Deadly Hallows when Harry Potter, Dumbledore's will was read. Spoilers. That was kind of the inspiration about giving things to certain people, to kind of have meaning.
You broke me when I read your will.
It was a plan. I wanted to break everybody. Their tears give me energy, so I do try very hard. But yeah, next question. It's from Sam Tambrox. Curvy, what was your favourite Mia and Ryan moment?
Ooh. Honestly, there's so many. Probably
The umbrella heist for me.
Yeah, the umbrella heist. Honestly, I think that tops everything. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, we did the vault with no hostage, but like, it wasn't the same and it took hours. Like, we literally sat there role playing tellers for at least 2 hours, maybe 3. And one by one, I would go down, I would do, one of the lock boxes downstairs. I'd come back up and pretend that nothing ever happened. And I would only go down with like 1 thermite to like limit risk and try to be able to explain things, if the cops arrived, so I wouldn't have a bunch of thermite on me. So that was an amazing situation, but I genuinely think that the umbrella heist is probably my favorite Ryan and Mia moment.
So good. It was so it was creative. It was really, really creative, and
yeah,
I love that kind of stuff.
And then more recently, the whole Matthew Payne.
Oh my god!
What's Kilo doing? Matthew Payne.
So good.
It's so good. I love it. It's why I love, like, we can all sit here and say like, oh, people should do things differently and not be so cookie cutter, but like, there's only so many things that you can do. You can absolutely try to get creative, but it is becoming difficult,
right, for sure.
There's only so many ways you can rob a store type thing, and the only really variations there are the vehicles being used, demands as to, like when Whippy started doing the, all right, well, you're only going to chase us in reverse, or you're only going to chase us in these vehicles that we provide to you type stuff. Like, those are always incredibly fun. But every single time I'm with Mia, we do something downright amazing in a stupid, silly way. And I love it so much.
I look forward to them now. I wasn't aware of the Mia Ryan shenanigans, but now I hope I can catch them once when I'm on a cop. Not catch them, but catch a scenario, because I really enjoy that kind of stuff. But you're right, it is getting tricky to do that kind of stuff, which is why one character I would always love to have, but it will take admin intervention, is to have like a heist planner, where I could almost like hire role players to do things, and kind of set up a heist, set up a plan, a bit like Napoleon was doing. But have it be, there's no mechanics, but just like having other role players, almost like NPCs in a way, kind of setting up a heist. A bit like how Medi did the gun heist, and how Raja did the other night, that really cool painting stuff as well. I'd love to do that. Carry on. But yeah, Mia and Ryan are one of the best duos. Okay, can I just point out this doll that just went past? Yeah, from Ollie. That is I showed it just before. It's so cute. It'll probably come around soon. But next question is for Nakkida. Dayfred asks, what was going through Tessa's head while moving Buddha's C4?
Wait a minute, you had C4.
Don't worry about it. So what was going through Tessa's head was, gee, I sure hope they don't put this on a bus that I'm in later. And what was going through Mary's head was, doing this for him is going to come in handy later when I need to. Never mind.
You can't stop teasing us, Nakkida. Oh my god. But yes, I completely understand. It's very, very well thought out. Oh god, now you've got me nervous. Alright, okay. Good answer. Very good answer. What lengths is Mary willing to go? I mean, like, would she use C4 just as out of interest?
No.
No? Okay.
Mary wouldn't use C4. I mean, I can't imagine a scenario in which that would come about, but I think she may know how to get C4.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
Oh my god, dude. What the fuck?
People are so trusting around Tessa with the information that they spread. Like, they have no idea the amount of stuff that I know how to get access to.
Sock, if you look in Discord, that's the whoops, if you look in Discord, that's the image that I was referring to.
Add me for that. Okay, well, I'll try and do this while talking at the same time. But like, it's so true. People are so loud on NoPixel, with a lot of things, and it comes down to like, I guess it is just like Tessa. They don't think that anything's gonna happen with Tessa.
It's like they forget I'm there sometimes. I was in the back of the car with the Chain Gang once, and they were just talking about these like gun deals and things that they had on them. Like they did not care.
I would wonder. Okay, if the scenario ever happened where Tessa was caught, would she start spilling the beans and that kind of stuff to try and get out of it?
I mean, if that kind of stuff came about, I honestly I don't think I would. I think I would feel too dirty doing that.
That's fair enough. We're gonna get some lewds in chat now, but no, yeah, I think that would be like the biggest CI. If everyone found out that Tessa knew
if she went CI, things would happen.
Yeah, that would be badass. But I did fix the art, and I've got it. Gracie's so good, dude. But I see the map, and it's even bloody, and I didn't even realize this exists, dude. It's so cool. And there's like a little like pride pin on the wall too.
Yep, it's so good.
Well, thank you to Grace for letting us show that off of all of our art, because it's all awesome. Keep it up. But if I can get back to doing, next question is for Patrick Swayze. That's a good name. Nakkida, what is the best thing about playing such an innocent and pure character?
I guess just that a lot of my reactions and habits can be genuine. It's nice to just kind of be nice in a city that is generally not nice, because people kind of gravitate to it, I think, when they need a break from the chaos. And I don't really have to force anything when I'm doing that. So it's nice to play characters that aren't completely psychotic at all times.
Mm-hmm. For sure, it's a very necessary balance. Bring, apart from for Dark, because Dark knows truth, but
does he though?
It's the yin and yang thing, right? If everyone on the server was the crazy dudes, then it would send the server in a very strange direction. So
yeah,
I think a lot of people are thankful.
Before the Mary stuff started happening, like Tessa was just a professional victim. Like I enjoy so much playing the character that doesn't come out on top in situations. I think it's so much fun to lose and to be like a walking tragedy or a walking accident. Like it's so sad sometimes, the things that happen to Tessa. But it's also hilarious. Like there's certain things you just can't plan. Like one time I was crossing the street in front of Pillbox. I got hit 3 times trying to like I was going across the street, I got hit, and then as I got treated in the hospital. I came out and I was trying to cross the street again and I got hit. And then I went back across the street and I got hit.
Were you
Oh my
jaywalking?
She's just no.
Oh.
I cross the street. I wait for the signal to cross. I hit the button.
Walking
Oh my
tragedy.
God.
That's...
That reminds me so much of the situation that happened in front of the courthouse with me. Someone crossed the street and was injured and then got hit by a car. So then I went to go across the street. And when I did, I ended up getting hit by a car.
Oh my God,
and then
dude.
it was Nina Valier and I think Labar. They both crossed the street and then
Oh
Nina
my God.
ended up getting hit by a car.
I have clips of that.
I know.
I have
it's
clips
so
of that. They're
good.
my favorite clips, actually, because it's just so funny the way that Nina is screaming.
So good.
Oh no. Yeah, and then the concussed Tessa arc was fun. I think a lot of people enjoyed that when she kept getting hit in the head. Like
God.
she started her day off getting run over by Davy
Yes, it was
a
Davy.
couple of times, and then she started to lose it because she had a driving test with Davy, and then another character who was like Davy, and then Kiki called. So she had 3 chaotic characters in contact with her in the span of like an hour, and she like lost her marbles. And every time she would try to have an interaction, she would get injured more severely
Oh, God.
than what happened before, and no one was trying to help her. It took so much for me to get someone to actually like sit down and be like, oh, something's wrong with Tessa.
I think I might have saw a clip of you going absolutely crazy in the parking lot of the casino with Davey or something. I can't remember who it was, but it's what, as much as Dark wants to look into Tessa, he also feels so bad because you get, I guess it is when you play that innocent character, you do get kind of picked on.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy for all the rest of these chaotic people to just mess around, but it is funny at the same time. And you
Sometimes it's just like a tornado is going on around me, and I like I'm just sitting there reacting to it because there's so many characters that are just whirlwinds, and they sweep you up into the RP, and you just go along with it.
Mhm.
And that's, I think, the most fun that I have is when people pick me up and take me on an adventure that Tessa would never get into on her own, but it's hilarious when she's there
Yeah,
and put in that situation.
you're a very good sport for keeping up and being the willing pureness of the server, even though in secret you're evil. We all know it. But yeah, I appreciate all the civs that really do that kind of stuff because it can't imagine it. Like I've tried in the past and it's so difficult. Actually, you know what? A follow-up question is from myself. How do you stick to being a civ and enjoy it so much? Maybe it's a bit vague, but
Mm.
you know, civs don't have a lot of mechanics, right?
Yeah.
Is it because Tessa's an older character that you're used to it by now? Or...
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I have endless amounts of patience. So it's easier for me, I think, than it would be for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Who kind of need that constant like change and things going differently. And like their chats kind of get bored of what's going on, but my chat is wonderful and they like everything that's going on with Tessa. But I don't know. I've always really enjoyed Civ life and having that banter between characters, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean there's always drama going on. It doesn't always necessarily need to be guns and violence
Right.
and things for it to be really fun RP, in my opinion.
No, I don't think you're wrong at all. I think you hit the nail on the head. It takes a hell of a lot of patience.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part of it is you really got to stick to it and commit to what your character is doing and like put your mind in that that frame where you know that you would have consequences for your actions, so you have to think about everything that you're doing, especially if you don't want to go to jail, because there's a lot of things that would end you in jail.
Right, yeah.
And
sure.
you got to be really careful about who you're interacting with and why.
What's the closest Tessa's come to actually going to jail?
Actually, probably the El Teso stuff. That could have gone very wrong if people didn't know it was me, and if she didn't have her clean record, I feel like she probably could have been charged with it.
I agree.
Like if you guys had pressed for it, I think you would have been able to get charges.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Filthy person. How dare you? How dare you?
I would have been.
No, honestly, I enjoyed it.
I would have bitten the bullet and be the one to send Tessa to jail, dude. I would have been
I was actually totally on board with it, like ready and excited about it, but it didn't happen. So
I was bullied by the cops not to do it. So
yeah, if you think it was just gonna be the cops, you would have been bullied by every
True.
judge.
Yeah.
Every lawyer,
oh yeah, I would have
including
made
his
your
office.
life a nightmare. Tessa, that's one thing that people don't, I think, realize about Tessa. She is vicious when it comes to things that would end her in jail, or get her a ticket or something. She busts out the sass when she knows she's in the right. And she is not afraid of a good guilt trip. Like, definitely not afraid. She will end your day.
Healthy.
Totally unrelated, but I remember when we had all just applied for PD, and then we're all at the pink cage. We're all lined up, and then we're all saying our names in our departments, and then Tessa was like, Tessa Lamb, Normie.
Yeah.
it was so good.
Yeah, that's funny, dude. I can't.
Oh, I miss it.
I think this is where I tell everyone that I play Richard Dark off stream and investigate Tessa. But...
I think it's a little late.
I'm kidding. I don't do that. All
Do
the
so
time.
at your own risk.
Okay, all right. I'll be honest. My favorite moment of that whole part was when you walked away doing the fucking swag walk and was like, I can't even remember what you said, but it was so perfect, dude. I had music on and everything. I need more out of Tessa. Okay, next question is from Manaish. For both of you, what aspect of each style of roleplay do you like best?
What aspect of each style of roleplay? Style in what sense?
Let's go with
Like crim, lawyer, cop?
For GTA, the styles of role.
Okay, so for me, playing... So, again, I played Matt Rhodes for a very long time, like a year and a half, as a just straight up civ. I think my favorite part of that is sort of going against the grain, where most people are criminals. I think that when you're playing the civ role, it's so good, and it, like, I know people will say things like, "Oh, it must be boring," but it's really not, because you end up getting targeted by 90% of the server, because 90% of the server needs someone like you, who is willing to, be placed in those situations. And again, when it comes to roleplay, it's not about winning or losing. It's about sort of your participation in a situation, not the end result. So in terms of being a civ, that's my favorite part. Is playing the whole, I don't have a record, and also I'm a professional victim.
Yeah.
In terms of playing a criminal, at least for the criminal that I play, I love the fact that I play a petty criminal, and I can get under people's skin, and I can just do what I want without anyone above me saying, you can't do that because you'll get fired, or like, as a cop, you can't do certain things because you will lose your job.
Yeah.
And then as a cop, being able to play, the side of, I need to stop these criminals, type situation is incredibly fun. And the chases, the robberies, the shootouts, I find them all super, super fun. And then, there's the lawyer aspect, which is, or let me correct myself, can be fun. As long as people are willing to deal with lawyers because of roleplay reasons and not just because they're going to get something out of it. It's why I never took civil cases, and it's primarily because people get shot up day in and day out, and the only time they ever actually roleplay their injuries when there's a cop on the other side. I'm not a fan of that. I don't want to reward that style of roleplay.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you place unnecessary sort of burdens on people, and I don't like that. Which is why, again, I never did civil cases, but I never liked doing civil cases. If those same people were consistent in everything, that's a whole different story. But when I see people day in and day out get shot and it's never an issue, there's never a court case filed, but the moment, again, it's a cop, suddenly they want money. I'm like, I don't know about that. But again, when I used to get called down every single day, even if it was just possession charges, which are not disputable at all. If someone called me down for possession charges, like, I have so much respect for that, because they're doing it for the role play with the lawyer and not because they know that they're going to get anything out of it.
For sure.
But yeah, that's my stance on sort of all the roles I've played.
Nakkida?
Well, I guess I don't have as broad of a experience, so I can't really say what I like about cop or EMS or anything like that. But I do love the things about Civ RP are similar to Curvy. It's being able to put other people's roleplay up on the pedestal and lift them up and give them their chance to shine and kind of be a tool for them. That's what I enjoy about Civ RP. And I also really like across the board slow burn story. That's like, I'm super into slow burn storylines, and I'm not really one to do crazy things and just do things for the heck of it. I like to think out what I'm doing and think about what consequences would happen as a result. So that's one of my favorite things. But as far as playing a criminal character, I'm not sure if any of my characters really are heavy criminals. But I do enjoy the freedom that Penny and Rachel have to do things. I haven't really let them stray as much as I really think that I should, because I'm nervous to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I need somebody to hold my hand and like like what Kyle was doing. And make me do these things and kind of get me accustomed to it. Because otherwise I don't think I'll do things on my own, because for so long I've been a civilian, and I don't initiate like a robbery or anything like that.
I remember. Oh, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
I remember when NoPixel was down due to like the whole database thing. A lot of us went to Rivalry, and I pretty much played a criminal Matt Rhodes, and Nakkida played a criminal Tessa.
Oh my
and
God.
we robbed the jewelry store, and she got caught. I felt so bad.
Okay, all right. So, funny story about that. When I got caught, my mask was stuck on my face, and I was wearing a wolf mask at the time, and I literally couldn't take it off. And the cops were like trying to ask me who I was, and they wanted my ID and everything. And I just defaulted to like my base instinct, and that was to pretend I was a dog.
What? Wow.
And I asked if I could be their canine unit, and they said no, and then they sentenced me in dog years.
Wow. I didn't expect that. I thought you were
I
going to be
went
like,
to jail with the mask on.
well,
I love it.
you know, I think PD might be hiring canines.
Oh my god, no.
I was actually going to ask, and there's another question coming up from Saquon Barkley, who asked you, Nakkida, how do you feel about Penny and Tessa both being better crims than Rachel?
Listen. Rachel is a failed experiment, okay? I tried very hard. I really wanted her to be a bully to Ryan, like a bully big sister,
Right.
like alpha and stuff. I can't do that. I just can't. I realized very quickly that it's just not possible. I'm too awkward, so I ended up making her kind of like an awkward, like nervous, but still somewhat protective older sister. But she really wants approval from her little brother. And I think that's kind of the direction that I wanted to take with her after I realized that I actually can't be an alpha.
That's fair enough.
But it's I wish that things had gone differently and I could have played the character that I initially wanted to play, but like I said before, I really got to play at my strengths, and if I don't, it's going to feel really forced and not as fun for me, cuz if I'm feeling like I'm not able to do something in RP, then I start to like doubt myself and feel really uncomfortable, and then I start stressing about it and not, like desperately not wanting to do it anymore. So I had to make changes with Rachel, or else I would never ever go back to her, which I'm kind of in that spot now, but it's just because I don't have time.
Yeah, I think letting the RP take you somewhere that you didn't expect is really fun. And you know, whether that be Rachel trying to be an alpha and then going somewhere else, or anybody's character doing anything, like it happened with Dark the other day when, you know, he got 50. I didn't expect that to happen, and you know, I never planned on that. I never did anything like that, but I'm so glad it went that way.
Yeah.
Because it was very natural, and I'm excited. Made me excited for what's next. So definitely props. Because one thing I was going to bring up, and I mentioned it last time, I applaud people and I'm so thankful for people who are selfless role players, especially civs, because you guys let yourself get kidnapped all the time. You put it perfectly. You act as a tool for other people's role play. But I think that some of the issues on the server stem from people being selfish about their roleplay and wanting to be the main character, which, to be fair, everyone's the main character of their own story, but wanting to be the main character of, you know, the server or whatever is what causes problems. Whereas if you just think, you know, what can I give to other people rather than what can they give to me, it changes a lot of perspectives. And there's a lot of new people doing that, and I'm extremely grateful for all of you people. So for sure, it makes things a hell of a lot more interesting.
Absolutely.
I could not agree more.
Nice. Next question is from Odin, who asks you, Curvy, since Matt came back to the city, what has become the most important people and things for him, and has any of his previous priorities changed?
Most important people, like, despite the fact that Matt is sort of married to and every time he approaches Tessa there's a vault robbery, like Tessa is still the most important person to Matt. Like, I will never forget, I think I was with Angel, and I was having a conversation with whoever I was riding with, and I was like, every time I speak with Tessa, there's a robbery. And it's not like a convenience store, it's the vault. every time. And I kid you not, I approached Tessa. I think I said hi.
Oh
I was
my
like,
god.
the city of all started getting robbed, and I was like, Tessa, I'm so sorry. I gotta go. And I couldn't hold it in because it happens literally every time. And again, I feel so bad. Let's see. In things, and have any of his previous priorities changed? I mean, to some extent, because before Matt would only drive hybrid and electric cars.
Right.
Obviously, you know, being forced into PD where there are no hybrids or electric cars, that's obviously a change, but it's sort of like a necessary evil in this
Mhm.
case, where, you know, there's not much you can really do about that, right? Like
Yeah.
you're not going to get an electric, you're not going to get a Tesla PD car for a single
You
character.
should.
You know what I mean?
You could have been bike patrol, cycle patrol.
I'm pretty sure the BMW i8 is in the server because of me. I wanted a Tesla. I wanted it to be from Fastlane, and they couldn't get one, I guess, that worked. And so the next best thing was a hybrid, which is an i8. And
Right.
honestly, I hate the way the car drives. I love the way it looks. I hate the way it drives. But yeah, priorities definitely have changed. Tessa is definitely still you know, the most important person. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hell yeah, I'm glad you didn't say dark. Wouldn't have been true. We all know it. Alright, next question. I think it might have been already asked. Yeah, I asked this earlier. So the question about Tessa getting norm was from Goat Milk 94. I asked this question already. Second one, Barkley about the getting Tessa, and then next one is, I chose this because of its D&D roots, but it's from Raul Nia, who asks, if you had to choose an alignment for each of your characters, what would it be and why?
I don't know.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I'd have to think about this one.
Well, let's start with Matt Rhodes. I think Matt Rhodes is like lawful good. Like, unless I'm missing some bad bones in his body, then I think for the most part he's lawful.
Matt, I mean, if for the most part I'd say lawful good, but like he's had his moments, I think. Where like he would, like, I don't know if people realize this, but Matt would definitely cross the line if it came to someone willing to do something to Tessa.
Yeah.
We had a conversation about Simon that I remember in detail.
Oh God.
Do
Yeah.
Spill the tea.
Spill the tea.
So Simon was still around and threatening to harm Matt, and we went to that spot. What is it? Is it a parking garage?
You're talking, it's off of Lower Power Street, and there's an elevator thing.
Yeah,
Is that
I
the one
think
you're
so.
talking about? Yep.
Yeah.
It's the Union
And,
Depository parking lot.
And we talked about one of the only solutions to it would be if he were to die. And we discussed potentially doing it ourselves and taking care of it and being done with it. It was a consideration that we had because both of us were in danger, but mostly Matt, and he was worried about Tessa. And so we were thinking about it. We were thinking about going after him and taking those risks and taking it into our own hands, because otherwise the police wouldn't be able to do anything for us.
And the unfortunate thing is, every time something happened, it was just a he said, she. Now, with Tessa in a situation, I feel like it's much less of a he said, she said, and much more of a, okay, that's proof beyond a reasonable doubt. But if it actually went to court, it's something that wouldn't really hold up. Well, I say that, but honestly, any judge who listens to Tessa is just gonna agree with her. Again, I've said this many times, and I think I've worded it the same way. You can have video footage of Tessa murdering someone. If she goes in court and says it wasn't me, she will be found not guilty.
Dangerous.
Guaranteed. But that's the benefit of playing a character such as Tessa
Yeah.
consistently and sort of not straying from what the character is intended. You sort of gain those benefits. Listen, if I roll up to the jewelry store or the city vault and Tessa says, "Yeah, they're all gone," I'm not searching it.
I believe she has the power, dude. That's dangerous.
No, there's no one inside. Meanwhile, there's someone in the vault who's hiding, and she did it because she was forced against her will. Like I'd believe her.
God, that's
dangerous game.
Yeah, it's bad, dude. What about other characters? What do you think? I think Tessa and Mary are definitely very different. Alignment wise.
Yeah, I think Tessa, honestly, at this point is neutral good. Because she is in line with the police and the Department of Justice, but she's also friends with all of the criminals in the city. So I think I would put her as neutral. But also good because she doesn't want to harm anyone. But Mary, I think, would be lawful evil.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, she follows a set of rules, but she's still a bad bitch. Yeah, but I like to see characters change a lot. And
just have a character that has two sides that you can play both.
True. Go on.
I don't know where I would place Ryan or Shaw. I don't.
Ryan's like chaotic.
Probably, but
yeah, I think that fits him.
And then if I think of
Shaw started off
Shaw.
Lawful. He was he transitioned into bending the rules, though, right?
To some extent, yes. But one thing I never really wanted to do was I saw something written. I forget exactly where it was written, but some people implied that I think it was in discussion of trials and how there's no jury trials anymore. And I think someone had stated that I tainted a jury, and that's not the case at all. I've made it very clear many, many times that I think that tainting a jury on NoPixel is pretty much power gaming because it's taking advantage of the fact that we have so few people.
Yeah.
That if you force yourself into the jury of someone who or no other people who are associated with them and told them to find them not guilty of something, I don't agree with that at all. If any of that did happen during any of my cases, I had no involvement. I made it very clear to people that should not be happening because if I win a case, I want it to be because of stuff that I did, things that I pointed out, not because I had the case because people were friends with other people. I think that's silly, and it takes advantage of sort of limitations that we have. And I was never a fan of that.
Roleplay, right? Takes away from your roleplay, especially.
Yeah, exactly. People definitely know, but we get these cases in game. And we spend hours, or at least I do. I spend hours researching case laws and how similar cases have played out and which case laws apply to certain things. And it's very research driven. Being a lawyer and taking on big cases is not easy.
I just one thing I've considered, I enjoy the in-court roleplay, but I don't think I could do all the research and stuff. It's so much out of character work. It's crazy that what lawyers do, and lawyers still get pooped on, which is stupid. It sucks. Need more need more lawyers, and we need more lawyer appreciation threads on Reddit. But just
Shaw soon,
appreciation.
TM.
Sure, soon. I'd do it. Do it.
SSTM.
Who else? Who else we got? We'll do one more. Someone said in chat that Penny's chaotic stupid.
Whoa.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, she's pretty dumb. I think Penny would be kind of neutral. But I don't really know enough, honestly.
It's alignments are tricky, dude. But I guess you do have to spend the time with the character for it to settle in, right? But I think Dark's alignments changed over the past few days, and I'm worried to where it's going because Toby's putting a Batman mask in and stuff, and I don't know what's going on anymore. But I thank people who give me things like that, their chance to chat, because it's really fun. But honestly, I'd really like someone to go through and just get every character and just do their alignment, because I'd be really interested to see what people think. But I'm also really interested to think about Curvy. This question for Felipe. What made you change your mind about not doing relationship roleplay?
Ooh, I think we sort of hit on that earlier. I don't know that there was anything that sort of changed my mind. So I think the first thing that had happened was... So nothing really happened with Shaw because I was married to the job. Although there was the Arthur thing where, out of character, Dondi and I on Twitter rolled and he won. So then we sort of just considered him married to Arthur. But there's nothing really in character that had happened. When it came to Ryan, Ryan is petty, and he wanted... So Ryan originally had gotten kidnapped for a bank robbery by Reed, and he wanted to get back at Reed. And Reed then started stealing his car outside of the hospital. And then I approached him and I punched him, and then he just started feeding me a bunch of info. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. But then I realized, like, Ryan as a character would never fit in with the bikers, not in a million years. And the only way that would end up happening is if he was in fact Reed's old lady. The thing is, for the longest time, Reed, like the relationship between Reed and Ryan wasn't like an actual relationship. It was more of a... Reed saw, at least in my opinion, Ryan as a tool to use for stuff like robberies, and like it was fake. And then at some point Reed mentioned, like, hey, if Rudy finds out that this is fake, like, you're dead. And I was like, okay. So then it sort of progressed into what it is today. Both in character and out of character, I don't even know that it's real, given how it all started.
Right, yeah.
But that's how that started. And then the stuff with Matt, like, I don't understand how, but like everyone hits on Matt. Like, honestly, same thing with Shaw, but I've always been firm with them, married to the job. And I don't like using the same phrases on multiple characters.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what to do with Matt. So honestly, when the dark stuff happened, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Especially like with the whole relationship thing, like sort of being like an out of character mental block thing that we discussed earlier, with the whole PDA thing and whatnot. Like, I know you, I know how you role play, and I was comfortable with it.
Yeah, I didn't.
So
I didn't want to make
it was like it was like I was okay with it. I feel like it's sort of similar to like all the relationships that Tessa has had. Like, I feel like Nakkida knew the person, and there's sort of like a mutual understanding of like how things should
boundaries
be.
and
Exactly, boundaries.
Yeah, not going too far, making it uncomfortable.
Yep. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't think I can sit there and remember that rivalry thing we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
Like, listen,
ERP.
it was borderline and like pet names and all, and I can't do that. I can't.
Nice.
Like, honestly, I'm sorry if this seems limiting to RP, but you will never hear me say something like "get in the car." Like, it's the pet names afterwards aren't happening. It's just not happening. Okay, I can't do it. It's a mental block. The most Curvy does is love you back. Yeah, pretty much, and that takes a lot.
I just like making you uncomfortable in character. With some of the things I say, because I just hear you cracking up, dude. But yeah, I think I think you're completely along the right lines. People don't often do it now if they don't know the person. There isn't a lot of, unless it's comedic, like Jordan or something, who don't know with him anymore. But it's often comedic, and it's never meant to cross any boundaries. Right? I think everyone's on the server is pretty good with that now. But yeah, we touched on that earlier anyway, so we'll finish it off with this this question from. Oh, this name's gonna kill me. Is a vibe BB for both of you? With a bit of a wholesome question. Who do you look up to in roleplay most? Is there anyone's characters / roleplay inspiring you at the moment?
Ooh. Yes. But I feel like it's like a multi-part answer. And so for like one of the people I look up to as of right now is Kiwo. And the reason for that is she has such, and if actually, Sock, you as well, you both have such a good ability to just like ignore all of the outside noise and everything else and just focus on like the small people who sure might only have a small robbery to report and maybe they lost $37 and a stick of gum, but like they want to make the report. And the sort of the logical thing is to provide them with that RP, but with such a fast pace style going on right now, it's difficult to be able to set that time aside for those people. And yet I see both of you guys do it time and time again. And for me, it's like I look at it from the other perspective of it's another robbery. The thing is, like, especially after playing a criminal, think of robberies where no cop showed up. And it's like, okay, all reward, no risk. Like, sure, in the short term, great. That's amazing. But like, would you ever play on a server where there is never a police response to things?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to be able to sort of be able to provide both sides sort of that equal opportunity, but it's very difficult to find that balance. And I feel like both you and Kiwo have nailed the ability to do that. I definitely haven't at all. I definitely struggle to do it. But I'm trying to think of like if there is an overall person. Honestly, I think this is so difficult. I don't know that I have a single answer because like I look up to Nakkida, right? And her ability to play this character that she's had for a very long time, that I played with her every single day with, and she does things that just puts her character at a disadvantage over and over and over. Like she doesn't run red lights, she doesn't run stop signs. I don't know that I could ever do that. Like even as Matt, who was typically a law-abiding citizen, like I was still drifting around corners. I was still hauling ass down the street. I don't know that I could ever do that. And the fact that Nakkida is able to put so much dedication and emphasis on playing an actual civ, like I look up to that so much. If I had to pick two people right now for an overall, who do you look up to in roleplay? It would be Nakkida and Kiwo as an overall.
That's really sweet. Thank you.
But you know,
well, I mean, it's the truth. Shut up, son.
You know what I said.
Well,
but
Actually, this was one that I thought about and had an answer to. So I have actually three people on my list. The first one is Milton. Uh, I look up to Milton so much. Like ever since the day that we met in RP, it's just been nonstop great role play from him. For me, anytime that I interact with him, he creates so much role play for me. It's ridiculous. And that goes for anyone he encounters. Whenever he starts his stream, he has a plan and a goal for that day. And his community is so just on board with everything he does. And that's just streamer goals for me.
Right.
Like I love his community and what he does. And he always has something going on, and he'll rope everybody around him that he can into what he's doing, and it creates so much RP for people. And I mean, sometimes there are days when he does stuff and I already have something going on and I can't really derail my entire plan, and he's okay with that. Like he will find someone else to do it to, and it's amazing, and I love him for that.
He is something
Um
else. He's out the park.
Yeah, he's just on another level, and like I know sometimes a lot of people don't understand like when he's going into certain things and going ham on it. But I'm always on board with what he's doing because I think he's hilarious. Um, but also Ziggy is another person that I really look up to, of course, for the Norman stuff, but just in general as a streamer and as a friend, he's shares my sense of humor so well, and I think we mesh well when we role play together, and he's a blast to role play with, and I look up to him and everything he does and how he rolls with things that are going on, and just how smart he is about how he plays Norman. That's what I try to do when I'm playing Tessa.
I think he's one of those people
Um,
who has just like always been consistent with his role play. Like
yeah,
he's always been really good, as both Ziggy is. Has always been like never really a moment when you see Norman and you're not like, oh, you know. I mean, he's just terribly consistent. Yeah, I completely
yeah,
agree with you.
yeah. He's great. And then the third person on my list was actually Kirby.
Oh,
So yeah, funny you should mention me. Uh, so Kirby has always been somebody that I looked up to because back in the day when I didn't really have too much story going on with Tessa, and I would hang out with Matt, he was always doing something. Um, I don't want to say petty because that's a Ryan thing, but he was always getting up to something, uh, and putting detail into things that normally people overlooked. So he was kind of in a way RP checking people, and in the most hilarious ways. And he's kind of the reason why Tessa pushes the crosswalk buttons and does all these little things, because back in the day he would go back and forth and recycle cans,
Oh
and
my god.
like
I remember.
nobody else was doing stuff like that, and it encouraged me to start doing that kind of stuff, and it's brought me a lot of RP, because if you look at those small things, it creates an RP scenario when someone notices you doing those things. And that's one thing that I learned from Curvy. And you mentioned earlier about the like being pedantic about your car doors and stuff, and like
Yep.
just those little things uh always killed me, and it's something that I strive for with Tessa now, like putting little details in the spotlight and bringing those to people's attention that you normally wouldn't think about.
For sure. Just zooming in on little things and blow stuff up. those might have been those answers were much more cute than I was expecting. So I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate that so much, Nakkida. A lot of the I don't know, like the slash me stuff. To me, that brings me back to when I used to play San Andreas multiplayer, which was text based RP. Where I know I've said this many times on like various streams, but like you didn't just slash me makes coffee. You did slash me grabs, uh whatever, slash me puts water in the thing, and then slash me puts the beans in the coffee machine, like you literally did every step of the way. And then honestly, the biggest hurdle for me on VoIP based RP was like role playing certain things, and how you could just like there were times where prior to IDs being a physical item, people would do slash me gives fake ID with and then insert another person's name, and it's like in my mind I'm processing it as, did they just, because that would be power gaming on San Andreas multiplayer if you did not role play it beforehand. Now, if you did it beforehand, you'd be solid, right? But if you didn't do that and suddenly you just have someone's ID, you're handing it off, it's like, that's not acceptable. But it was in GTA 5 RP, and it really threw me for a loop. And then I would actually slash me a lot of things that typically people wouldn't. But it was just out of habit, not so much like, oh, hey, because honestly, if you slash me anything nowadays, like chat's like god tier RP.
Yeah,
like someone
true.
punches you, your glasses fall. If you crouch down to the ground and slash me picks up glasses, chat's all about the god tier RP. And I'm like, wow, is it?
For someone who was, if you had done text-based roleplay for so long, that's probably like, hello?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. The basics. The text-based RP 101.
That's funny, dude. But yeah, thank you for those wholesome answers to finish it off.
Well, I do have sort of one last thing. Like this is gonna sound silly or whatever, but like honestly, had Nakkida not like have pushed me to stream, I wouldn't have. Like I'd still be on NoPixel, but like thank you so much for like pushing me to stream, because I definitely wouldn't be in the position I'm in today had it not have been for you pushing me to stream. Like, and it blows my mind that we now both have jobs essentially working from home, doing things that we would still be doing regardless. So thank you for that. I really do appreciate it.
Well, thank you for pushing me for the next 6 months after you started streaming to start my own stream, because I didn't.
That was something. Nakkida would come into my chat and I'd be like, so when are you gonna start your stream? And then she'd come up with something like, I'll be right back, I gotta go walk my pet rock or something.
Yeah.
What the heck?
I was very stream shy before I actually committed to doing it. And I had a lot of followers before I actually started streaming because of Kevin, Lord Kevin. I would hang out in his stream and he would roleplay with me. And I got a pretty big following before I even started streaming or even had gone live for the first time.
Damn.
Which was really interesting.
I think
I appreciate that.
Because for the RP community as a whole, is that they can notice who is putting in the effort, and the communities and the streamers reward them before they even start streaming or anything like that. It just shows that what NoPixel really is. It's just like it's a big old community that is terribly rewarding, and sometimes, at least for me, I definitely feel terribly unworthy, but I'm so grateful to be part of it and to come back and be part of it.
Agreed.
So yeah, thank you guys for being way too cute this podcast. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys coming on, and I hope you enjoyed the questions, because there was a lot of them, and I hope to make the good ones. But yeah, seriously, thank you guys for coming on and talking about it.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, seriously, thank you. I enjoyed This is the, I guess, second podcast I've been on, and honestly, I've always sort of operated as, with the exception of like personal information, like personal identifying information, I'm pretty much an open book. If anyone has ever had any sort of questions, I typically don't, you know, shy away from them. Um, so I honestly, I've always loved being able to do stuff like this. So
Hell
thank
yeah.
you for having me.
Well, who knows? Maybe in 6 months when I run out of guests, we'll get you guys back on and see what's happened with Matt and Tessa and Ryan and everybody, and we'll see where things go. And I'd love to have you back on. So yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. I'm gonna go and end the stream, but if you guys stick around, I'll chat to you afterwards. Again, thank you for coming on. And yeah, see you soon. Chat. Thank you for watching. And what cool guests, guys? Aren't they cool? Aren't they cool and cute? And they have the chats to go along with it. Yeah. Thank you for watching the second episode of Breaking Character. Tune in next week, hopefully, because I do have an exam on that Saturday. But we'll sort it out. We'll sort it out. I'll let you guys know the guests probably by the end of this weekend. I almost said the wrong website. Breakcharacter.com. The website should be up. The new episode should be up there tomorrow, along with Spotify. You can watch the VODs for any of you tuning in. Thank you all so much for coming. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you all in the next one. Adios.